start with Council of Nicaea. So we're going to do 3 fingers, and they're going to pass under our hand and come out as one, because at the Council of Nicaea, they talked about the Trinity. So Council of Nicaea, and then Augustine of Hippo. You do an A for Augustine of Hippo, and he changed to Christianity. So we're going to do the sign for change, which is 2 X's, and you just change your hands like this. Augustine of Hippo.
Hey everybody, this is not fun at all, but thanks for enjoying us.
All right, so next we have Jerome completes the Vulgate, so we'll do a J. Can you do a J, Calvin?
Sure.
Jerome completes the Vulgate.
Completes the Vulgate.
Good, so the Vulgate is the Bible in Latin. And then we have Visigoth Sac Rome, so we do a V, Visigoth Sac Rome, so V, Sac, R. And then the Middle Ages, you just kind of stand nice and prim and proper, the Middle Ages. And then you take one hand that's flat and you can circle your other hand around and have it go right in the middle for Middle Ages. And then Council of Chalcedon, they discussed the 2 natures of Jesus. So we'll say Council of Chalcedon, so 2 natures of Jesus. And then Western Roman Empire falls to barbarians. So you do a W and have it move across to you like this. Western Roman Empire falls to barbarians.
And he's like rolling at them.
Barbarians. Yep. Okay, so let's do it with the music.
Come on, it's peanut butter.
Council of Nicaea, Augustine of Hippo. Jerome completes the Vulgate, Visigoth Sac Rome. The Middle Ages, circa 450 to circa 1500. Council of Chalcedon, Western Roman Empire falls to barbarians.
Good job. Let's do it one more time.
One more time again.
Council of Nicaea, Augustine of Hippo. Jerome completes the Vulgate, Visigoth Sac Rome. The Middle Ages, circa 450 to circa 1500. Council of Chalcedon, Western Roman Empire falls to barbarians. Reflexive pronouns: myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, themselves. Reflexive pronouns.
To practice our reflexive pronouns, I'd like you to fill in the blank. So I'm going to give you a sentence, and you're going to choose which reflexive pronoun best fits the sentence. I don't need your help because I can do it. Use the word bank to find the correct reflexive pronoun. I don't need your help because I can do it myself. The members argued amongst for an hour. The members argued amongst themselves for an hour. He is going to have to drive to school today. He is going to have to drive himself to school today. Rather than diagnose when you're unwell, you should ask a doctor. Rather than diagnose yourself when you're unwell, you should ask a doctor. Pull together. The Queen will be arriving any minute. Pull yourselves together. The Queen will be arriving any minute. Allison still does not trust. Allison still does not trust herself. Without a strong steel frame, the building would collapse in on. Without a strong steel frame, the building would collapse in on itself. We thought to. This has been the best day we ever spent together. We thought to ourselves, this has been the best day we ever spent together. Great job.
As I expected, Mary Poppins practically perfect in every way.
Ist die it, imus istis errant, first conjugation, perfect tense. Ist die it, imus istis errant, first conjugation, perfect tense.
Multiplying the 14s. 14 times 1 is 14. 14 times 2 is 28. 14 times 3 is 42. 14 times 4 is 56. 14 times 5 is 70. 14 times 6 is 84. 14 times 7 is 98. 14 times 8 is 112. 14 times 9 is 126. 14 times 10 is 140. 14 times 11 is 154. 14 times 12 is 168. 14 times 13 is 182. 14 times 14 is 196. 14 times 15 is 210.
14, 28, 42, 56, 70, 84, 98, 112, 126, 140, 154, 168, 182, 196, 210. 14, 28, 42, 56, 70, 84, 98, 112, 126, 140, 154, 168, 182, 196, 210.
What are some aquatic biomes? Here they are, ponds and lakes, streams and rivers, wetlands and estuaries, oceans and seas. These are some aquatic biomes. What are some aquatic biomes? Here they are, ponds and lakes, streams and rivers, wetlands and estuaries, oceans and seas. These are some aquatic biomes. These are my favorite aquatic biomes. There you go. For geography this week, we have the Mid-Atlantic world. So we are going to start over here at the bottom of South America. Remember our continents? North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and Australia, Africa, Antarctica. These are the continents. So we're going to take a look at South America. And way down south, way down at the tip, is the Strait of Magellan. And then right next to it, we have this line that goes all the way from the north all the way down south, this line of longitude that is called the Treaty of Tordesillas. And the Treaty of Tordesillas is called a treaty because it was an agreement that Portugal and Spain made together. And it said that everything to the east of the Treaty of Tordesillas would be Portugal, and everything to the west would be Spanish. So that's why in this big country here named Brazil, they speak Portuguese. And in all of these other South American countries, they speak Spanish because it was Spain's, and this was Portugal, so they speak Portuguese. Okay? So we've got the Strait of Magellan, the Treaty of Tordesillas, and then we're going to look at the continent of Africa. We've got two places on the continent of Africa. We've got the Canary Islands, and they're these little teeny tiny islands right off of Africa. And then way down Africa's foot is the Cape of Good Hope. So let's sing through our mid-Atlantic world. Strait of Magellan, Treaty of Tordesillas, Canary Islands, Cape of Good Hope, this is the mid-Atlantic world. Strait of Magellan, Treaty of Tordesillas, Canary Islands, Cape of Good Hope, this is the mid-Atlantic world. Mid-Atlantic world. And the mid-Atlantic world is all about the age of exploration and those explorers who came from Spain and Portugal, discovering new lands and new worlds, which has a lot to do with our history sentence. So let's take a look at that.
Between the late 1400s and the mid 1500s, Diaz rounded the Cape of Good Hope. Amerigo Vespucci sailed to the Americas. Balboa crossed Central America to the Pacific. Magellan's crew sailed around the globe, and Coronado explored the American Southwest. Between the late 1400s and the mid 1500s, Diaz rounded the Cape of Good Hope. Amerigo Vespucci sailed to the Americas. Balboa crossed Central America to the Pacific. Magellan's crew sailed around the globe, and Coronado explored the American Southwest.
The first European explorer we're learning about in our history sentence is Diaz. Between the late 1400s and the mid 1500s, Diaz rounded the Cape of Good Hope. So the Cape of Good Hope we know is down here at the foot of Africa. So I'm going to put Diaz right down here so we can remember what he rounded. Now, I want to tell you, Diaz was one of the most important European explorers. He led the first trip down here to discover the tip of Africa. The first time he went, he took 3 ships to search for the southern tip of Africa. And in 1488, he passed the tip of Africa. He passed it, but he didn't know he'd passed it because there was a horrible storm. So he actually did pass it, but because of the storm, he couldn't see, so they turned around and they went back up to port. He's a Portuguese explorer. Bad. Then another time he tried to go, guess what? They veered too far away from Africa and they actually landed in Brazil. So they didn't mean to, but they actually found Brazil on that trip. But eventually, they did make it way down, and he named it the Cape of Good Hope. And this explorer Diaz, he died at the Cape of Good Hope because his ship sank in a storm in 1500. So Diaz is credited with leading the first European expedition to find the tip of Africa, which is called the Cape of Good Hope. Next in our history sentence, we have Amerigo Vespucci, and he was actually an Italian explorer. And the Americas are named for him. Amerigo, America. They're actually named after him, even though he never even was in North America or Central America. He actually only reached South America, and he wasn't the first one there, but they're named after him. He actually crossed the Atlantic Ocean after Christopher Columbus had made his first voyage of discovery. And if you know, Christopher Columbus actually thought that he had found Asia, but Amerigo did not. He went, after he reached South America, he went back, he wrote about it, and in his writings, he called this land a new world. And so later, a map maker, a German map maker, found Vespucci's writings, and he made a world map. And when he made the world map, he labeled South America as America. So Vespucci's first name, we spell it Amerigo. It can also be spelled Americas. And so that was why they called it North America. And they labeled this Central America and this North America, even though Vespucci had never been there. So because he's credited with, his name is used to name North America, Central America, and South America, I'm going to put him down here in South America because that is the land that he actually traveled to and called the New World in his writings. All right, next we have Balboa. In our song, we say Balboa crossed Central America to the Pacific. So you'll notice, so this is Central America right here. And if you look at the map, there is not like a stream or a river or break in this land where you can sail through. So he didn't cross Central America by sailing. He actually had to get out and cross the land. And he crossed this little bit right here in Panama. And you can see it a little bit better down here in this. This is just a blown up version of that little section. So he crossed this little area here in Panama, and that was where he crossed and saw to see the Pacific Ocean. So I'm going to put Balboa right here. And so you can remember he crossed Central America to the Pacific. Now, Balboa was a conquistador, which means he would conquer. So when he found these lands, he conquered the people, and he claimed them as Spanish land. And he left for the Americas in 1500, and then eventually in 1519, he was found guilty of crimes, various crimes, and he was beheaded in January of 1519. So, Balboa, the conquistador, he crossed Central America to see the Pacific Ocean. He's the first European to see the Pacific Ocean, and then very shortly thereafter, he was beheaded. So after Balboa crosses this little strip of land and sees the Pacific Ocean, that was in 1513, okay? So now fast forward to 1519. Magellan is an explorer from Portugal, right up here. And he is going to leave in 1519 with 5 ships. And they go and they sail across the Atlantic Ocean down South America. And when they're going to go around South America, they actually discover this little passage here across the tip of South America. And that's where we have the Strait of Magellan. Now, they go on to cross the Pacific. So at this point, they start with 5. Now they've got 3 ships. 3 ships are going to continue on across the Pacific Ocean. They get to the Philippines. After being in the Philippines for about 100 days, he's killed in a fight with the people of the island, and Magellan is actually killed in 1521. So there's 2 more ships left. After Magellan's death, 2 of his ships continue on westward, and one of those ships survives. One of them makes it to the Indian Ocean, and so the Indian Ocean's over here, and they actually are able to sail back around the tip of Africa and complete the voyage back into Spain. So Start out with 5, lost 4 ships along the way, and Magellan actually didn't survive the voyage. But it was his fleet, of ships that he had commanded that made the first voyage around the globe. Lastly, we have Coronado, who, in search of gold, explored the American Southwest. So here's North America, and this little area right here is the United States of America. And so he explored the southwestern area. So I'm just going to put his name right over here. We're going to cover all that southwestern part of America. And he was a Spanish explorer. And so his expedition to Mexico to explore this land established Spain's claim to what is now the southwestern United States. So he set out in 1540 from New Mexico to find new cities, and he was looking for these cities made of gold. He'd heard of these cities made of gold, but really it was just sun-baked clay that looked like a goldish color. So in Coronado's search for gold, he and his crew, these Spanish Europeans, were the first to see places like the Gulf of California, to see the Grand Canyon. They discovered the mouth of the Colorado River. They crossed into California. He went on to explore Kansas, and they saw the Great Plains and the large bison or the buffalo herds that roamed.